benefit to coming early, there's a benefit to being on time, and we're going to move forward because there's just a lot to do in a short period. But my name is Mark Allen, the chairman of National Black Reach Chicago, and our mission is very simple. One time in Black people's history, before we could text and tweet, before we could fax, we just had Black people on common sense who decided that if white society was not going to develop our food, clothing, and shelter, glad we did it on our own. We took our own empty lots, grew our own food, took our own storefronts, made our own clothes. The Black church was our anchor, and we just started doing for ourselves. So in 35 city blocks in a place called Tulsa, over 600 Black owned and operated businesses that white society burned down.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm simply saying, if our ancestors in 1921, who had much less to work with than we do today, if they can take majority Black communities in Tulsa and use their own consumer dollar and share and work with each other, surely, as far as Black people have come now, we got the capacity and the know-how on how to build our own communities from within with more resources than God has given us than we've ever had before. And so I'm humble enough today on this Women's History Month to look back on the 40 years God has blessed me to be in this movement. I started when I was 9 years old, when my daddy took me to a place called Breadbasket. That's now an empty lot on 79th and Austin. But in that place was Dr. King's last Chicago headquarters. And as Reverend Barrow will once tell us, right across the street from here was Dr. King's first headquarters, so we're still on the historic corner. But then he left here with the 79th and Hall. But the point is, I watched as a child working under the Reverend Willie Barrow, who was in charge of the consumer education and consumer action. And I watched Black people with no D's, no PhDs, nothing but common sense and our own money start opening up our own stores, banks, theaters, just everything. You start seeing the history of what Black Chicago used to look like. And then we have the capacity now, if God has left us here, to do that again. So our mission here is simple. We're going back to do what we always did. And we just got to connect these intergenerational dots. And the same elders, when I think back on sitting with Emmett Till's mother, and Rosa Parks, and Dr. Lowry, and so many of those, they just taught us a basic thing that Dr. King left us with. He said do two things in this Poor People's Campaign. One, no matter how poor you are, use more of the money, we called it bread back then, and our community was the basket. But he said use more of the bread you spend every day, friends, in your own community financial institutions to create, sustain, and increase your own jobs. That's what Dr. King said. Then he said, do one more thing. No matter how poor you are, protest corporations. Don't economically support major corporations when they're sit in a majority Black community and they don't have economic benefits agreements with the local businesses in that community. So 40 years later, we're not supposed to be sitting on $1 trillion consumer spending power, and the number one employer of our young people is selling bootleg CDs and loose squares. Talk to me, somebody.
Yes, yeah.
And so we got to go back to the common sense that we used to. And so we've got the capacity. Every time you go to these funerals, everybody keeps saying, oh Lord, how could we have done different? Well, how you spend your money? That's what you could have done different. And so I keep telling people at the funeral, I see you here crying and hollering, what can we do? Yeah, let's use that same energy. When you get through crying, because I tell you this, in Chicago alone, Black people spend over $50 billion. However you spend it. And the Census Bureau says it only takes $1 billion to create up to 50,000 jobs. So if you really want to see an end to the physical violence, stop committing the economic violence.
Amen.
God can't give you $1 trillion power. And you still asking why these kids in jail? I figured that out traveling around the country, Reverend Jackson in his jail. One thing we figured out. Sister, why are you in that? I was prostituting. Trying to do what? I got caught doing something illegal. Trying to do what? Solve my economic problem. Brother, why was you still on those tires? And you had to eat. But what were you doing? Something illegal. Trying to solve what? Your economic problem. 90% of the brothers and sisters in the county jail today are all there for what? Doing something illegal, trying to do what? Solve the economic problem. So it just seems to me, I think it's too easy. I figure of people that can spend $50 billion when you got a majority black community, all the churches, all the leaders, just everybody, even those who say we are the leaders we've been looking for. So with all this genius, 1 billion or just 1 billion, just $1 billion more spent back in the black community to turn the county jail into a museum. And so that's our challenge here. And so I'm grateful to God, and I'm grateful because I know we can't do it without women. One thing I've watched in this movement, saw a lot of powerful men in this movement, but I also saw those men could not stand if it wasn't for the active and systematic involvement of women in the movement. And when women make up their mind something's gonna change, that's when things are gonna change. Women are the majority of consumer spenders. Women are the majority of registered voters. So when women decide this is where we're gonna go, that's when we're gonna start lifting up. So some of us, as Reverend Barrow told us, right here in this room, she said, Mark, always remember, everybody who has the right to vote didn't march for it. So there's always gonna be some of us in the community who've got to take the leadership. But where the best of us sets it up for the rest of us. And I'm just convinced, we can convince people why they should follow the cha-cha. You know, we just tell people, to the left, y'all, to the right. Everybody do it all the time. So then I'm just convinced, if that can be that important, then we gotta be the responsible people to take on this spirit, this Black Wall Street spirit. So that's why I'm glad to be here in this level of leadership in my life. It's the right place at the right time for the right reason. And those of us in this room got the collective genius to move our folks forward. And so I wanted to take this time to make sure we brought together an intergenerational group of women who need to know each other, because our community at the bottom respond to what they see at the top. So we've got to set the example for how to go out here and reclaim our people, because like I said, every time you keep praying, God keeps trying to answer you already. I mean, gee, I gave you $1 trillion power. So somebody got to have enough sense to bring it together. So whether it's the bankers, the developers right here in this room, say Elder Higginbottom, probably one of the biggest developers in the country, but he bought these 2 corners, made sure all black and owned operating businesses was in them, bought the building across the street, that's gonna be a new restaurant, a new sports bar, and he's hiring everybody from the community. He said that I'm gonna rebuild 47th Street, and I got the capacity to do it. So he's already put 20, 30 businesses up, gave us this spot here, said, Mark, this is where you need to be. And I said, let me think about it. Let's think about it. You got your money. I didn't get a chance to think. So, and I said to myself, self, I don't think I can do this. 2 years ago, this was just an empty space, as is. Nothing in it. So Mr. Higginbottom said, here's the test of your leadership, son. How you take something, take nothing, and make it into something. But I tell you this, there were 2 sisters who are not here today, but I just said I can't do it. They wanted, it was $1,000 deposit, I ain't got that. Well, I'm telling you, bring 500, I ain't got that either. 2 sisters called down to East Lake and said, get them keys to that office. You gonna run that office. I ain't got the money, sister, you got it now. There was a sister Ebony and a sister Felicia. They brought the money, and that's how we got the keys to open up this office. And there's been sisters who have helped lift me up when I said I can't do it. And so, but that's the spirit that God gave you back. So my challenge now is, because I know I've lived this, I'm not telling you nothing I didn't read. I've lived this movement. And I know we connected the dots once before. And that's the whole spirit of what Dr. King and Honorable Elijah Hope was saying at the end. Listen, brother, no matter what we're both talking about, at the end of the day, we're telling our people how to use their own consumer spending power to build their own community. And so I'm just convinced. And so God, give me this kind of breath to go back and breathe these life to these dry bones. That's what we're gonna do. And we need your help to do it. Because as I told some of these funders, I'm not mad when they say, you telling us how to spend our money, but if you're really Black Wall Street, you should be sustaining your office with black dollars. So at the root, I'm glad to say that this office is sustained every day because the people put their money together in the spirit of Black Wall Street, and I'm humbly glad for that. I thank y'all for your presence here because that's what we do. Y'all give yourself a hand for that. Because somebody got to go tell it. When you leave in the day, everybody should be on their Facebook page somewhere saying Black Wall Street. Somebody got to bring, it's that spirit. And we did it before. And we're going to do it again. And so I also dedicate the day to my mother. Some of y'all know my mother just recently passed away. Cancer. But I'm in here today. I got the same suit, same tie, same everything I wore at home going a few weeks ago. But my mother was blessed. First of all, a 35-year breast cancer survivor. We watched her go through that. But even when it was the end, my mother said to me, one, we could not explain. The doctor said, cancer is everywhere, ain't nothing we can do. However, we cannot explain why none of this cancer touched her brain. And so she looked up at us and she said, son, listen, I'm all right, but I do not want you spending all day in the hospital with me. I've already talked to God about this. And I'd be proud if I knew you were at work and take your brother with you and go and do what you need to do to serve your people. And so when the doctor said she wouldn't live 5 days, she lived 12. Said she wouldn't be able to make it home, she made a transition home in the family. And so in that spirit, I work because that's what she said. And so later on next month, I'm gonna take this corner, blow up her picture and everything, and that's gonna be the Ollie Allen community corner for my mother. And then I found out something else when you go through crisis. Other people in this family, some of the sisters that work with us, they lost their mothers to cancer too. Get y'all pictures of y'all mothers. It's gonna be the commitment corner. Because that's what she said to go do. So, Mama, we still working, and my brother's still here with me too. So we gonna keep on serving and keep on working. And then on this corner is gonna be another, we're gonna move this picture here and blow up the picture of a sister named Bobby Johnson, who also died of cancer. And just a few days before she died, she called me to her house and said, here's $200. Keep working, we got work to do. And even though she never came in the office that much, every single month she said $200. Just so I know you lifted up the way you should be lifted up. And so I know what happens when people put their money together and what we can do. And I'm just telling you now, that's what I'm going to be trying to do. That's what we are going to do. And your presence today is going to do that. So one, I want to introduce some folks to us that I've been looking around and seeing. And as Reverend Barrow says, somebody lifted you up, you got to lift up somebody else. And so I've been watching a couple of these two sisters moving around. And I remember when Black Business, Cirilla McSween and the Black McDonald's paid money off the McDonald's for me to go travel and organize young people in the community. Then when Jesse Jackson lost one of them grants, it was a Higginbottom. I was going to work for Montgomery Ward, selling life insurance. It was a Higginbottom called me to his office and said, son, you're not going to be happy doing that. You need to stay serving your people. Then Elsie Higginbottom paid my salary, and then John Clark from Reggio's Pizza, he paid the rest of it. All because they said, you got to serve. And so in the spirit of Reverend Barrow, she said, lift up another generation and connect these dots, because we're not so much divided as we are disconnected. Somebody's microphone make it preach, so let me get ready quick and move. Because we do got a story to tell, but somebody got to tell it. It's like we're talking to Reverend Sharp, this is what we call Negro amnesia. There's a lot of Negroes out here who don't know how we got here. And you don't know we got a model. And we've done this before. Now Dr. King said we now in this paralysis of analysis.
Chairman Mark.
Can't do nothing.
Alan speaking. This is his birthday.
Capitalize our way out of it. Let's put together a Black Wall Street. Well, why? Let's just do it. So everybody's passing us by. And it bugs the hell out of me to have to go work for these other ethnic groups. My friend, can I pay you? How do you get land? Like this, they don't do it. My friend, can I pay